FORA.tv. The world is thinking.
So it turns out that this theme of bringing art and technology together always seems to rub people in an interesting way. Here was the first exhibit of computer art, 1968, Cybernetic Serendipity. The establishment freaked. The establishment freaked a lot in 1968. Here's some of what they said. The winking lights, the flickering television screens, the squabs from the music machines are signaling an end to abstract art. When machines can do it, is it worth doing? Well, it was against this background that a number of came together and formed GAFTA, because we wanted to create a space for artists and technologists to come together. And what's exciting is you see people working in code who come from the art community, the finance community, the technical community. Our space is in the Tenderloin. It used to be what they called an art theater. It was a porn theater. They called it an art theater. It's now an art organization again. And our first show, which we called Open, it turns out maps had a significant role. We worked with Eric Rodenbeck and Stamen Design because it turns out our neighborhood is one of the highest crime areas, and it's an area that's willfully trying to change. So we started to use mapping, in this case showing information about rents, about crime, and the neighborhood to get a dialogue going. This, for example, shows crime in the neighborhood. I was worried. I thought, oh my God, if we show the world there's all this crime here, the neighbors will get angry at us. They'll think that we're being, annoying or elitist or something. But in fact, it created a common ground, a conversation about all of this. One of the first works that we actually have released as an institution is a piece called Tenderloin Dynamic that we did with Stamen Design. So here people actually can go in and take a look at data. For example, this is rent information around town. You can see the fancy parts of town or not. But then you can also take a look and run that against crime information in San Francisco and get a sense for where the crimes are and where the problems are. You can even then take a look at building permits and seeing what parts of town will grow. So here the map's being used as a way to explore and common ground, and in a kind of a delighted fashion, when we started doing this, the police showed up and they're like, look, people care about our data. It became a place where they would say, look, we made arrests there and now the community cares. So we were really interested to see that this created a common ground. We've been doing a lot of work with Asaf Bitterman and Colorado at the Sensible Cities Lab at MIT. This is an organization that understands that all sorts of data that flies out of our cities can be used to understand it and manage it better. In fact, tomorrow's panel that Esther Dyson's doing on the Internet of Things has a real intersection with what we're doing here. Here's a project that Sensible Cities did where they tagged trash. They actually put data on trash as it moved around, and you can see this piece of trash leaving Seattle and moving around 48 miles as that piece of plastic finally came to a resting place. It turns out that upon more recent analysis, recycling material that left Seattle went all the way to Chicago before it got sent to LA for recycling, asking the question, are we really doing a big favor to the environment? This is the kind of data that comes out and people can interpret when you can suddenly see things. Another project that MIT has been doing, and by the way, we'll be doing a retrospective on their work at GAFTA in the spring, so we've been spending a lot of time with them. I worked with them on the introduction of this, the Copenhagen Wheel. Turns any bicycle into a hybrid bike, and they announced it a fabulous project at the climate conference recently. But in addition to it being a hybrid, it turns out this takes climate data or pollution data and broadcasts it from all over town. So here you can take a look at live data of a bicycle moving through a city giving pollution information. Now, by comparison, there are 3 pollution monitoring stations in Copenhagen. 3, capital cost. But if every bicycle moving around emits data, you suddenly get an awful lot of data that citizens are providing for free. In this case, information about pollution, but also social network data and traffic data. So there's this crowdsourcing phenomenon as people come together and create data as a byproduct of what they're doing.